For 4 years, I thought my partner and I shared the same trajectory. We'd met in our mid-20s, bonding over our mutual love of indie films and hiking. We built a comfortable life together in a quiet city. I, Vikram, worked as a forensic accountant specializing in tracing financial fraud. My job rarely made for thrilling dinner conversation, but it afforded us stability and future plans. Serena, 5 years younger than me, held a degree in fashion marketing, but hopped from job to job, never settling. She adored designer brands and travel, often daydreaming aloud about living like influencers, sipping cocktails on yachts, spontaneous trips to Paris, and closets overflowing with couture. I didn't mind her aspirations. I even found them charming. We would talk about traveling together once we'd saved more. We'd browse travel blogs and talk about where we might go on our honeymoon when we eventually married. I had even been secretly saving for an engagement ring and a surprise vacation. Meanwhile, Serena began posting more glamorous photos on social media. Staged shots at upscale bars, luxury cars borrowed from friends, designer outfits she couldn't afford. When I questioned the sudden uptick in extravagance, she brushed it off as social media impressions for her brand. I shrugged, thinking she was just trying to build a presence. Then one evening, as I was plating salmon in our kitchen, Serena strolled in carrying shopping bags with high-end labels. She leaned against the counter and took a deep breath. "There's something you should know," she said, her voice oddly calm. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe she'd quit her job again. Maybe she wanted to move. Instead, she smiled, a look I'd never seen, and said, "I'm done living modestly. I've joined an elite travel companion network. Wealthy men take me on trips, they pay my rent, they buy me gifts. It's what I deserve. You can't give me that." She said it with the same tone she'd used to announce she'd bought new shoes. I stood still. I didn't shout or drop my plate. Instead, I asked, "So you're dating men for money?" She laughed. "It's not dating. It's companionship. They pay for my presence at events, dinners, vacations. They enjoy the company of an educated, attractive woman. It's an arrangement. This is how women with ambition live." I listened as she explained how she'd connected with benefactors through a private app that matches travel partners with wealthy clients. She told me she'd already been to Dubai and Monaco. She claimed she'd earned $40,000 in 2 months. "I've been wanting to tell you, but I knew you'd react like this." She waved toward the stove dismissively. "Please, Vikram, be happy for me. It's time for me to explore. You're comfortable. I'm not. I want more." She took her phone and opened the app, flipping it towards me with a grin. Her profile read like a glossy magazine ad. Serafina V, 27, lover of champagne sunsets and private jets. Bio: ambitious girl seeking sponsors for a life well lived. Exquisite taste. Must appreciate luxury. Minimum allowance 15K per month. Photos showed her in destinations I'd never visited, wearing outfits I'd never seen. She pointed at her list of patrons. "Look," she said, "an investment banker, a tech founder, a winery owner. Real men who understand class." She set her phone down and looked at me as if expecting praise. Inside, anger simmered, but my professional instincts switched on. Over the past month, I had seen unusual withdrawals from our joint emergency fund. 2,000 here, 5,000 there. When I asked about them, she'd said she needed to invest in her brand or pay business expenses. I suspected something was off, but hadn't wanted to accuse her without proof. Now I understood. "You've been using our emergency savings to fund your lifestyle?" I asked quietly. She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, Vikram. I borrowed a bit, knowing I'd pay it back. Anyway, it's nothing compared to what I'm making now." She unzipped her new designer purse, which I later discovered was leased, and pulled out an envelope. Besides, I've already replaced what I took, she lied, showing me cash. See, I'm not a thief. I'm an opportunist. In that moment, I realized two things. Our relationship was over, and Serena's opportunism was shading into criminality. She wasn't just borrowing our savings. She was forging transfers. She had taken personal information from my documents to apply for a credit card I never authorized. My line of work had taught me to recognize a scam, and my partner had become one. A surge of mixed emotions swept through me: betrayal, sadness, and a spark of determination. "This conversation isn't over," I said. "But please, if you're leaving, take responsibility for what you've taken." She smirked, slung her bags over her shoulder, and answered, "Responsibility? No. Gratitude? Yes. You can thank me for not settling for mediocrity." With that, she went to her room to pack Dot as soon as she left the kitchen. I called my colleague Maya, an investigator at the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, whom I'd collaborated with on fraud cases. I explained what Serena had said and my suspicion that she'd been stealing and committing identity fraud. "Gather everything," Maya advised. "Don't confront her again until you have evidence. If she's using your information, we need documentation to prosecute and to clear your name. Also, don't close accounts yet. Monitor them. We may need to track where the money is going." Her calm, methodical tone grounded me. Over the next few days, I combed through bank statements, credit reports, and digital footprints. I discovered 2 unauthorized credit cards opened in my name, a loan application for $25,000 I had never signed, and an email Serena had forged using my digital signature. I began cataloging everything: screenshots of our joint account showing the withdrawals, photos of the forged signatures, and messages she'd sent bragging about her secret life. Then, channeling both heartbreak and professional experience, I devised a strategy. If Serena wanted benefactors to pay for her luxury lifestyle, I would become her exclusive network of benefactors, all while working with federal authorities to ensure she was held accountable. First step was creating new identities on her elite travel app. Over a week, I crafted 4 elaborate profiles: Lionel, a sommelier who owned vineyards in Napa and Tuscany; Kareem, an aviation entrepreneur; Miguel, a pharmaceutical executive based in Madrid; and Alaric, a reclusive art collector rumored to live part-time on a private island. I used AI-generated images and composite voices to call and leave voicemails, giving each persona a distinct accent and communication style. I bought prepaid phones and set up secure email addresses. Each benefactor offered Serena glimpses of a world she craved: exclusive art auctions, yacht cruises in the Mediterranean, ski trips to the Alps. Next, I contacted Maya again. "I need marked currency and surveillance approval," I said. "Also, I suspect she's connected to a larger network facilitating fraud." Maya consulted her team and agreed to help. The FTC and a special unit of the FB, I had been investigating high-end escort and travel companion apps suspected of facilitating tax evasion and identity theft. Serena's involvement could help expose a larger ring. We coordinated. Every payment Serena received from my personas would be traceable. Any communication we captured could serve as evidence. We set up call logs, screen recording software, and a live feed from a burner phone. The goal wasn't just to catch Serena. It was to dismantle the network preying on both patrons and companions. Meanwhile, Serena continued living at our apartment while she arranged her exit. She spent her days at spas, designer stores, and photo shoots with money she hadn't earned. She would text me from the couch she hadn't paid for, complaining about Mickey, me as Lionel, who promised her a trip but hadn't booked the flight yet. "These rich guys are too slow," she'd complain. One wants to take me to Aspen. Another wants to whisk me to Dubai. Which should I choose? I smiled and responded politely, mentally noting which persona she was referring to. In the chats. Serena was relentless. To Kareem, she wrote, "My landlord's raising rent, and I refuse to downgrade. A woman like me cannot live without a view. I'm sure you understand." To Miguel, she lamented that her hair extensions and nails required upkeep. "My beauty regimen is non-negotiable." To Alaric, she confided, "People judge me, but I'm just seeking men on my level." I obliged her requests, sending marked wire transfers and arranging for her to pick up envelopes of cash at predetermined drop points, all under federal surveillance. When she collected the first $10,000, she FaceTimed me, the real me, while counting it, gloating about how easy it was to get men to pay. "It's just numbers to them," she said, fanning herself with $100 bills. "Can you imagine how pathetic you'll feel when you see me flying first class while you're stuck auditing spreadsheets?" She laughed. I took a screenshot for evidence. The drop points also served another purpose: to track Serena's contacts. We discovered she wasn't just working solo. She had been communicating with a handler who took a cut in exchange for connecting her with high net worth individuals. The handler, whom she referred to as M, was part of a group flagged by law enforcement for facilitating wire fraud and laundering money through these supposed arrangement sites. The more we observed, the more we realized that Serena's ambition had led her into dangerous territory that could implicate me by association if not stopped. 2 weeks into the operation, Maya called. "We're ready to move," she said. "We've tracked enough transactions, and we have probable cause to make arrests. Your ex has picked up marked money across state lines, which means federal charges. We've also traced her communications with the handler and have enough to bring them in. How do you want to confront Serena?" We agreed that a direct confrontation would be impactful for the investigation and necessary for closure. We set the stage for a sting operation disguised as an exclusive art gala, one of Serena's favorite fantasies. Alaric invited her to a private exhibition at an upscale hotel known for its lavish events. He promised a surprise that would change her life. Serena gleefully accepted, spending hours planning her outfit. She used my Kareem allowance for a sequined gown, my Lionel envelope for designer heels, and my Miguel transfer for a diamond necklace, all items later recovered by evidence teams. On the day of the event, she video called me while applying makeup. "I'm leaving soon," she said, practically humming. "When I'm on a yacht in Greece next month, I might remember you fondly." I wished her good luck and said goodbye. Meanwhile, Maya and a team of agents set up surveillance at the hotel. I was there too, wearing a suit and a sense of grim determination. Agents posed as servers and art dealers. Maya listened through an earpiece as Serena arrived, eyes shining. She texted Alaric, "I'm here, darling. Where should I meet you?" I texted back from the burner phone, "Terrace garden." "I have a gift." She strutted through the lobby toward the terrace, heels clicking, unaware of the agents discreetly tailing her. When she reached the garden, she saw a figure waiting me. I turned to face her. Her smile froze. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, confusion flooding her features. "I came to meet the woman who stole my identity and emptied our savings," I answered calmly. "I also brought friends." On cue, Maya and two federal agents stepped forward, badges visible. "Serena Thompson," Maya said, "you are under arrest for identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering." Serena's face morphed from confusion to indignation. "This is insane," she shrieked. "You can't do this here. These men invited me." Maya held up a tablet showing Serena's messages. "These men are composite identities," she replied. "The money you accepted was marked. The accounts you opened under Vikram's name are illegal. You also collaborated with individuals under investigation for interstate wire fraud. Agents began reciting her rights. Serena tried to run, but Maya had anticipated the possibility. Another agent blocked the exit. Serena's voice rose, calling me a traitor, a loser, a jealous boy. "You destroyed us," she wailed. "No," I said quietly. "You destroyed us when you put price tags on affection." During the arrest, Serena's handler texted her, "Need my cut." Agents tracked the signal and arrested him within hours. They seized devices, ledgers, and contact lists that revealed dozens of other companions and patrons in the scheme. The app's founders were indicted for facilitating fraud. Back home, I braced for the backlash. And it came, not from authorities, but from Serena's mother, friends, and online supporters. The morning after the arrest, my phone buzzed with messages and calls. "How could you humiliate my daughter like that?" Her mother cried, ignoring the theft entirely. "She's always wanted the finer things. Why couldn't you understand that?" A former coworker of Serena's left me a voicemail, calling me a controlling, bitter man who weaponized the system. Strangers on social media, many of whom followed Serena's curated image, sent me threats. "You ruined her life because you couldn't handle her shine," one wrote. Typical man scared of a successful woman. The comments stung, but I kept my responses factual and limited. My lawyer advised me not to engage. "Facts speak louder than rage tweets," she said. Serena herself called from jail a few days later. It was her one phone call. "You set me up." She yelled, "Do you know what jail is like? Do you understand what you've done?" I replied, "I reported your crimes." "You set yourself up." She attempted to manipulate me. "Drop the charges, and I'll forgive you for this humiliation," she said, as if the concept of forgiveness only went one way. "We can move on. I'll even cut you in on a new business." "I have plans, Vikram." I always land on my feet. I hung up. While she awaited trial, more victims came forward. Men from 4 different states told investigators Serena had lied to them about medical emergencies, evictions, abusive boyfriends. She'd forged receipts and fake doctor notes. One older man admitted he'd sent her $12,000 after she cried on the phone about needing to escape an angry, controlling fiancé. He felt embarrassed and relieved when he heard about the arrest. Another man, a widower, had been convinced to invest in a non-existent clothing line. A group formed in a private forum called Companion Scam Survivors. They shared screenshots and information. Some were angry at themselves, others at the system. They joked about starting a podcast called Scammed by Glam. 6 months later, the trial began. Serena arrived in a modest dress, hair pulled back, minimal makeup. She attempted to present herself as a victim of a domineering boyfriend who wouldn't let her pursue her dreams. Her defense attorney tried to argue that she suffered from temporary delusions due to financial stress and social media pressure. "My client is a product of a culture that glorifies wealth and beauty," he said. She felt she had no option but to seek out wealthy companions. She shouldn't be criminalized for wanting more. The prosecution countered with volumes of evidence: bank statements, screenshots, surveillance footage, recorded calls, testimony from the men she scammed, and forensic analysis of the devices seized from her and her handler. They presented the unauthorized credit cards she opened using my Social Security number, the loan application she forged, and the messages she sent bragging about fooling idiots into sending her money. On the stand, I testified factually about our finances, the withdrawals, the forged signatures, and how I coordinated with law enforcement. Serena's lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive, accusing me of entrapment because I created fake personas. I explained that I involved federal authorities before creating any profiles, and that Serena's crimes predated my involvement. She had already stolen from me and opened accounts in my name, I said. My actions merely documented what she continued to do. Serena glared at me, then leaned into the microphone. He's lying, she said. He manipulated me. He always thought I was less than him. He didn't want me to have a better life. The jury remained expressionless. When Serena's mother took the stand, she insisted her daughter was misunderstood. She's been dreaming of luxury since she was a little girl, she said. We grew up poor. Is it a crime to want more? The prosecutor asked, is it a crime to use someone else's identity to open credit cards? To convince people to send you money under false pretenses? The mother replied, my daughter makes mistakes. At that, several jurors shifted in their seats. After days of testimony, the jury deliberated. They returned in less than 3 hours with a verdict. Guilty on all counts. The judge delivered the sentence with a tone that balanced disappointment and finality. Ms. Thompson, he said, you exploited the trust of a partner, stole from him, and deceived numerous individuals across state lines for personal gain. You have shown little remorse, blaming societal pressures and the very person you betrayed. There must be consequences. He sentenced her to 5 years in federal prison, with parole eligibility after 3, and ordered her to pay restitution totaling $90,000 to her victims. She also received 3 years of supervised release, during which she would be prohibited from using apps, facilitating companion arrangements. As she was led away, Serena cried out, this is sexist. Men do this all the time. You're just punishing me because I'm a woman who knows her worth. The judge did not respond. In the months that followed, Serena attempted to contact me through mutual acquaintances and letters. She sent a proposal for a memoir titled Luxury Trap: How I Survived Misogyny and Found My Power. She claimed it would expose the hypocrisy of men who exploit women and then persecute them. She offered me 30% of the proceeds if I cooperated. My attorney sent a brief reply citing the Son of Sam law, reminding her that she could not profit from her crimes. She replied with a handwritten note, accusing me of being afraid of a woman with ambition. I filed it away. With the rest of the case documents, life slowly returned to normal. I took a promotion and moved to a new apartment. I traveled for myself this time, visiting my parents abroad and finally taking the trip I had saved for. The money Serena had stolen was partially recovered through the sale of seized luxury goods. I used some of the recovered funds to donate to a women's shelter that helps survivors of exploitation. Ironic as that might seem, because I wanted to support those who truly needed help. I also started dating again. I met someone who teaches at a community college, loves thrift stores, and thinks brunch is a treat, not a lifestyle. We split the bill. We talk about boundaries and trust. We agree that relationships are built on mutual respect, not bank accounts. Occasionally, friends of Serena still attempt to paint me as cruel. One posted a long rant on social media about how I ruined a queen's life and couldn't handle her shine. It garnered a handful of likes. Her mother once sent me an invoice for her therapy sessions. I framed it next to my degree in forensic accounting. I received messages from people Serena scammed, thanking me for reporting her. One older man wrote, I was too embarrassed to tell my children what happened until I saw your story. Now, I know I'm not alone. His gratitude meant more to me than any vindictive satisfaction. If there's a lesson in all this, it's that entitlement dressed up as ambition can lead people to justify unimaginable behavior. Wanting to improve your life is not wrong. Thinking that others owe you that life is. If your partner belittles your efforts and measures your worth solely by your bank account, that's not partnership. It's predation. And if you discover you're being used or defrauded, resist the urge to retaliate in ways that could compromise you. Document everything. Consult professionals. Involve law enforcement. Protect yourself legally and emotionally. Serena. If you read this one day from a library in whichever facility you're in, I hope you realize it wasn't society misogyny or my mediocrity that landed you there. It was your choice to commit crimes and your refusal to accept responsibility. May your time away be a lesson in ethics, not just business plans. And to anyone hearing this story, ambition isn't a crime, but fraud is. Know the difference.